What's up, my loves? My name is Paige.
And I'm Ash.
And this is Pages with Ash. And today we're going to be doing these books remind us of these games, or vice versa. So, as you may have noticed, there is a little bit of theme running on my channel, and this is game-related videos. So, Ash and I had the marvelous idea of thinking of games and or books and then correlating the two. So we have a book that we've both picked a game that reminds us of, but because we play very different games, it's quite interesting in that front. And there is one book each where we didn't have a correlating game, so yeah. Well, let's just get into the video. So the first book we have is Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin.
So for me, this one reminds me of Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls #5. So being in the cold north of the Elder Scrolls universe and like the Civil War going on, it's just screams it, and plus all the mods you can get to add like the dragon, well, more dragons, and then you can just add all the cloaks and, you know, add dire wolves as pets things. It just screams Game of Thrones.
For me, never having played Skyrim, the one that this reminds me of is Age of the Empires, because you're trying to like take over from everyone else. There's sort of the medieval element to it, so it's sort of giving the same sort of vibes. Just the gameplay is not as brutal as Game of Thrones. It's more just like you're trying to colonize over the top of people, which for me,
it's more the political side of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, definitely more the political side of things. But I really enjoyed Age of Empires, and I've really enjoyed what I've read of Game of Thrones. So the next book is The Series of Unfortunate Events.
So yeah, this one actually reminds me of like Town of Salem, because it's the sort of 18th century vibe, even though they've got motor cars and stuff. It's just, it gives off that old-timey vibe, and then it's like Count Olaf whodunit sort of deal, like he's the imposter the entire time and no one can pick it, even though there's only one imposter.
And the fact that, you know, none of the adults actually listen to anyone is also very
Town of Salem.
Yeah.
100%.
No one listens to one another.
No.
For me, this reminds me of The Sims, because me playing The Sims is just a series of unfortunate events. So that's all I need for that one. That's what it reminds me of. The next one is The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackworth.
So for me, it kind of reminds me of Assassin's Creed. Just venturing into the different realms constantly, and like jumping between the different mythologies and religions with the different games, like Origins, going into Egyptian, then you've got Valhalla, which is your Viking, and
Valhalla is actually in this as well.
Yeah, and in the book as well. It just very much gives off that Assassin's Creed vibe of like diving into the different points. Yeah, and that would be the one it reminds me of, even though there's no real like assassination style or political intrigue. It's more the diving into the different realms.
The setting's more the correlation rather than the actual plot.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, this one reminds me of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. I don't know if anyone has ever played this. It was a game I played as a kid, and essentially you were chasing around this villain, but you would have to do, like, it was educational for kids, and so you had to do things with words and with math. And for me, the using words as a weapon was what sort of triggered it for this correlation, as well as then traveling around to different points of the world and like trying just to figure everything out that, you know, is a problem. So yeah, I thought it was fitting for this.
Appropriate.
The next one is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline.
So this reminds me a lot of World of Warcraft. One, the first time I read the book, I was in a massive binge of World of Warcraft at the time. But also just like the massive multiplayer sort of deal, and like everyone more like there's constant World of Warcraft references inside the book itself. It's just that it's totally that element to me.
My one's a bit of a funny one, and that's Beat Saber, which is a VR game. There's your correlation. The Oasis is a VR sort of experience. Literally the only VR that I've played is Beat Saber. And so that's how we draw these parallels. Also, you could argue that trying to do Beat Saber on the harder levels is very intense and fast-paced, and this was quite fast-paced and action-packy as well, so
yeah.
Now onto our singular books.
So for my singular book, I had 1984 by George Orwell, my pretty hardcover edition. So it reminds me very much of like SimCity and like Sim Tower. Pretty much the Sim games that aren't just The Sims. Or even The Sims in itself.
Yeah, it has elements of it for sure.
It's the big brother watching over and actually in complete control of everything and giving the illusion of free will. And that's where I sort of tied that all in. Yeah.
And similar sort of parallels. One, I have George Orwell's Animal Farm, but I'm going with Zoo Tycoon. Need I say more? Honestly. Zoo, animals, tycoon, messages behind this. There's a lot. So, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. But that's my singular correlation. So these are just some of our random bookish game correlations, if you will.
Yeah. It was a nice fun video just to think of random, you know, things that we link with other books, or
yeah,
why we draw parallels with books in completely different ways.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I think because Ash and I play very different styles of games, it was funny seeing how we made our different parallels, because they all were based in the same sort of idea. It's all based in the same game or book, but it just
sort of, yeah, branched off.
But because we could draw different things from the same book to fit it to how we saw it, really.
And like in games you hadn't experienced before,
yes,
I tied into.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have been able to tie in Skyrim at all. I've never played it, so for me it's like.
And you've only really seen the Assassin's Creed games. You haven't actually
I haven't played it. But yeah, so I needed my game expert to come join me for this because I had no idea what the fuck I would be doing otherwise.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know in the comments what's a bookish game correlation that you make. Is there one that you feel fits one of these books better? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And if you like this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of this mess and occasionally that mess, feel free to subscribe. And we'll hopefully see you in our next video. Bye!